Hey there, my name is Ray. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to talk to you about all things sacred and all things sexy. Today's specific topic is about how to make masturbation a meditative or a sacred practice. The other day I posted something to my Instagram that said meditation plus masturbation equals perfect recipe for self-transformation. Now this is something I truly do believe, and a lot of other people believe it too, as evidenced by how many likes I got on that photo. One person from my community commented below and asked how to make masturbation a meditative practice. She said in the moment it feels pleasurable, but afterwards it's kind of this feeling inside, which is actually very common and very normal. A lot of the times we have this desire to masturbate, but then what actually happens is this sense of shame or this sense of guilt or embarrassment, or like we just did something wrong, something yucky, something not good. I find this is especially common for women. So common that a lot of women actually just quit masturbating altogether. There's quite a few reasons why women feel so much shame around their masturbation, and that could be a whole topic for another video. But the main gist of it is that women aren't really encouraged to have autonomous sexuality. Even a woman who's in a heterosexual marriage, it's okay for her to experience pleasure with her husband, but then why would she go experience pleasure by herself? It's almost as if women are discouraged from experiencing pleasure within themselves. It's assumed that they have less pleasure, and it's not expected of them to actually satisfy themselves, to explore themselves, and really feel the depths of their sexual power and their sexual pleasure. So before I made this video, I went and had a little sacred masturbation meditation session with myself, which was actually a really encouraging thing to do, because typically I'm in these self-pleasure sessions because it's my sex school homework. It's basically with a goal in mind. I'm trying to do something or get something or learn something so I can teach it to others. It's very rare that I actually set up a space and have a masturbation session that's just completely focused on my pleasure, completely focused on the present moment. So the information I'm giving you today about how to create a meditative masturbation session is actually based on my own session that I had earlier today. So the first thing I want to suggest is to make a ritual of it. So often our masturbation is just this sort of 5-minute get off. Maybe we're in the shower, or maybe we're trying to fall asleep. It's almost like we use it as a stress relief, or we have so much sexual energy building up in our body and we just need some kind of release on that valve to let it explode out. It's very rare that we actually set an intention, set a sacred space to have a masturbation session with ourselves. So I recommend putting on some music. Music always shifts the mood. Today I put on a really sexy playlist and just let myself really feel into the music and enjoy the present moment. I also made sure that I had at least 30 minutes set aside that I could do this in. And then perhaps the absolute most important thing is that I made an intention. Now this might sound weird, like why would we make an intention going into a masturbation session? But setting an intention makes this really sacred container around what you're doing. So my intention today was to tap into my orgasmic potential and power, and to really allow myself to connect deeply to my sexuality, to accept it, to love it, to honor it, and to see it as divine. Now that was my intention. You can make your intention whatever it is. It might be better even just to make it a short intention. The only thing I recommend of the intention is to make it positive. Don't make it something like, I don't want to experience shame in this session. Make it what you do want to experience. I want to experience expansiveness. I want to experience orgasmic capacities that I don't even know exist. Something like that. Now the second thing I really recommend is to practice self-love within your self-pleasuring session. According to Taoist Tantra thought, what you feel emotionally when you're self-pleasuring actually blows up when you're building your sexual energy. So sexual energy expands our emotions. So if we're feeling shame or fear or even disgust with our sexuality, as we build up our sexual pleasure, as we build up that sexual energy inside our body, that emotion is actually going to be amplified. Therefore, it's really important to practice self-love. And what I mean by that is just accepting yourself as you are, to recognize your body as beautiful, to spend a lot of time, touching your breasts, really forming this sacred relationship with them, touching your whole body, really accepting yourself and all the parts of you that are coming up as holy, as good, as an aspect of you, instead of punishing yourself or diminishing the parts of yourself that maybe you're not such a big fan of. And now that leads me into number 3, which is allow a whole range of emotions to be present. So often in our Western world, we think of masturbation as something that we just do if we want to experience pleasure. But there can be so many more depths within a masturbation session, especially when it's approached in a sacred and meditative way. Really allow yourself to experience whatever emotions are present, whether that's fear or that's sadness or this deep grief or it's anger. You can even have an anger-gasm, believe it or not. You can have a sad-gasm. If you're feeling joy, well then let yourself laugh. Let yourself be present with what is coming up for you and let your body express it through both sound and through movement. Now, number 4 is to be aware with your sensations. What I mean by this is to really concentrate on what's happening inside your body. So often we just experience pleasure as this buildup and then this explosion. We don't experience it as something that's happening all over our entire body. Additionally, we're often in our head and we're really thinking about other things. We have resistance come up in the form of distractions. And so what this means is meditating on the sensations in your body, tracking your sensations like you're obsessed with them, like they're this new lover that you just got. Those sensations might be happening in your heart, they might be happening in your sexual center, they might be happening in your head, might be a tingling in your fingers. Just really tracking your sensations, staying focused on the sensations. And every time you recognize yourself going back into your head, just bring your thoughts back into the sensations. Additionally, you really recognize if you fantasize a lot or if you need these sexual images to really get yourself going. Instead of going into that fantasy or looking at those sexual images, just allow yourself to be present with your body. There's not necessarily anything wrong with fantasizing or looking at images, but often they're used as a crutch instead of really exploring the depth of our own sexuality. Now, number 5 is discover new ways to touch yourself. We are creatures of habit and we get into patterns. And often we discovered masturbation as children. So often for women, we discover that in our clitoris because it's on our vulva, it's outside of our vagina. Therefore, we get into these kind of patterns of what we know feels good. And we often go back to that, repeating that over and over and over and over again. What that does is it creates these neurological patternings inside of our brain. So when we get into the space of masturbation, we just immediately go back into that same old way of doing it instead of exploring new ways, instead of exploring new sensations inside of our body. So what I recommend is rather than going straight for your clit or touching it in the exact same way you usually do, change it up a little bit. You know, if you always do circles, then take your whole palm of your hand and rub yourself. If you always touch your clit, well then start playing with your vulva, explore your labia, your outer lips, your inner lips, really play with your vagina and recognize that there's this entire sexual center that has many different erogenous zones that you can find a lot of pleasure and sensation within. And finally, number 6 is slow down. Maybe that's evident in everything that I've already told you today. But it's really important just to give yourself time. Don't make this rush process. Like I said, give yourself at least 30 minutes, maybe even an hour to really be with your body, explore your body, meditate with your body, see what your body wants. What does she want to show you? What does she want to express? So the last thing I want you to know is that this is a process. No one goes and meditates for 30 minutes and then all of a sudden is this enlightened genius. It takes time, and everyone who meditates will tell you that sometimes they have these really great meditation sessions where they're just so in it, they're so deep in their own consciousness, or so deep in their awareness, or maybe so deep in non-attachment, and it's this beautiful surrendered sensation that's so full of bliss. And then other times they sit on their meditation cushion and it totally sucks. Their thoughts are flying everywhere, they're completely distracted, and they feel kind of shitty about themselves. That's why meditation is a practice. It's something you come back to, it's something you repeat, it's something you do over a lifetime. It's the same exact way with masturbation. Maybe you'll sit down and have this absolutely phenomenal sacred masturbation session. I really freaking hope you do. If you do, please let me know down below. But most likely you might sit down to do this and you feel a little weird about it. It doesn't quite feel right. It feels a little uncomfortable because it's something new. That's completely understandable. Just keep reminding yourself that this is a process. It's a relationship that you're building with yourself, and all relationships take time. So thank you so much for being here. I love sharing these topics with you. If you like this video, I recommend you click on my beautiful face right here and you subscribe to my channel so you can be notified when you get more videos. And also drop a comment down below. I love hearing from you. And download your copy of my ebook, Sacred, Sexy, and Whole. The link is in the description box down below. Thank you for being here.